Hello everyone. Thank you for coming to see my presentation. I'm very excited and happy to be here right now. Today, I will be talking about how you can eat healthy and feel good about it starting today. I hope you all enjoy my presentation, so without further ado, here it is. A bit about me before we get into the main part of my presentation. As Kathy said, I am 15 years old. I live in Toronto with my mom, dad, little sister, and little brother, and I really like eating. I have good taste, no pun intended, and in my quest to eat healthy, local, and organic foods, I learn a lot, and I try to share the good finds with all the other people on my blog and social media. I started my blog reviewing restaurants I go to with my family in 2008, when I was only 8 years old. Now I review restaurants, products, people, and markets in writing, pictures, and video. I only review and write about foods, restaurants, people, and companies that I like. I try to stay positive even though there's a lot of negative, especially when it comes to our food system. I'm very fortunate to be receiving lots of support from my friends, family, chefs, food makers, farmers, and other bloggers who remind me of my responsibility to be positive and to try to have my writing make people want to be connected to the food on our plates. I'm absolutely against GMOs and absolutely for real good food. If you have any feedback or suggestions for me or have a restaurant, product, or place that you would like me to review, please just let me know. I will post all of my contact information at the end of my presentation. I really just love doing this all for fun, but I started to realize that people really read my reviews, and other kids and parents wondered how I was, and if I was, eating healthier when I'm on my own and at school. So here I am to hopefully explain how to eat healthy and feel good about it too. One thing that really made me realize that just a kid like me could have a huge impact was when I went to Harvest Kitchen in December of 2013. I reviewed it, and when I came back a second time, they said that they got more people who came to their restaurant because of my blog than when they were written up in Toronto Life. This really pushed me to keep writing reviews because I knew for sure that people were reading them and taking my recommendations, all hopefully leading to better food for all. I really did not plan on all of the great things that have happened, that have come from starting a blog when I was 8, including speaking here, but I am so grateful. And a few of the other things that I do with food outside of my blog are choosing topics related to food for my school assignments. In grade 9 and 10, I published 2 books for independent study projects. The first, Chef Cuts, is about the different knife cuts that chefs around Toronto use in their kitchens. I spent a lot of times with chefs and knives, as well as learning how to take a good photo. It's not easy. The second, Kids Cook, includes 10 different recipes that are kid-friendly and delicious, again from chefs around Toronto, with lots of ingredient and inspiration for kids and families. I have also had the opportunity to meet amazing people like Bob Blummer, David Suzuki, Michael Pollan, Laurie David, and Alton Brown. In the fall of 2014, the Canadian Sugar Institute came to my school to do a presentation on the health benefits of sugar. Now, already I was mystified on how such a presentation could possibly exist, but I decided to ask them a few questions, figure out what their logic behind this statement was. One thing led to another, and they ended up telling me that I needed to stop asking questions and I was being too invasive into their privacy. So, needless to say, I wrote a blog post on my blog that night, and it blew up into a huge ordeal that ended with the Canadian Sugar Institute actually changing their Twitter handle. So although some think I'm an activist taking on big food or the sugar industry, I call myself an accidental activist. When I find something I like, whether it's a burger, a vegetable, or an issue like saving the bees, I try to help out, get involved, and share with others. This is something I think we all can do. So you may be wondering how an 8-year-old kid started a food blog. Well, at that age, I had a red book that I decided to write ratings of different restaurants in. That's an actual page from the book with a review of a market vendor. I wanted to be able to have more time on the computer, so my mom suggested that I put the content of my book online. Over the past 8 years, I have been blogging at riseratings.com, and I may post more some months than others, since there aren't always that many restaurants that pass my standards, and I have other commitments, and unfortunately, I do have schoolwork. Another thing that inspired me to start my blog was my sister and her severe nut allergy. That was when we started reading labels of foods more closely, and we realized how many chemicals and preservatives there were in our food. That is when I learned to question everything and stick with eating what I could feel good about. Now, some of the questions I get asked most frequently are, what's it like eating like you do at school? Or how do you deal with eating completely different from all your friends? Eating healthy at school is only as much of a problem as any kid or parent chooses to make it. If you feel self-conscious about eating differently, then you may become nervous or unconfident in your choices. There are actually many different ways to avoid scenarios like this. Just be confident and remember why you are eating healthy. Don't do something just because others are. Dare to be different. Dare to think about what you are doing. If kids at school kid about your kale, snicker about your seaweed, cringe at your crackers, or any other type of acting weird near your food, tell them about how great it is and offer them a little bit. But beware and ask about allergies first. As I always say, eat healthy and feel good about it. My mom and I actually wrote an article together for Eco Parent magazine in the fall of 2014 on how to be confident with different school lunches. I wrote my techniques, and then my mother shared her perspective. Some of my points included, explain to your friends how good the food is for you. So, for example, when I eat stuff like seaweed, it gives me a boost of energy so I can focus better after. Then your friends should be less skeptical of your food choices, since you've told them how healthy it is for you. Don't be afraid. If you act like your lunch is a top secret government recipe, kids around you will be even more weirded out by your food. In grade 8, I brought kale chips to a rehearsal for my school play for a snack. And after kids were asking me why I was eating grass, I offered them one, and I told them they were kale chips. After that, the majority of kids in my class loved kale chips, and I even brought them for everyone by request to a couple of rehearsals. All it takes is a little bit of information and others having a willingness to try things, and which can also take some convincing. But us kids try new things all the time. It's adults that are way harder to persuade. Fight fire with fire. My mom once told me that one of the best tactics you can use is reversing the ridicules. If they make fun of you, just say, well, I'm enjoying it, and it's too bad you can't appreciate good food like I do. A great Gandhi quote, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. Although it is a good quote, you want more to win them over than to win over them. I love sharing my passion for food with my friends. Make sure you hang out with people who are open-minded and kind about the way that you eat. Junk food is junk. A few years ago, when my brother's kindergarten teacher was serving cupcakes to the class, my brother, who was 5 at the time, asked him, what should I do while they're eating the chemical cupcakes? This shows that it is never too early to educate kids on what is really bad food. If they understand why they shouldn't eat it, maybe they won't. It works for my family anyway. Make your lunch look cool and change it up often. Your food may taste awesome, and if it's in a colorful lunchbox with cool-looking dips, sauces, and spreads, that only adds to the appeal and will stop you from getting bored at lunchtime. Kids will get interested in that sort of thing, and I speak from experience. Intriguing food really sparks curiosity in most people, and not even just kids. Take desserts and always have extra snacks with you. Kids will envy your lunch if you have some raw dark chocolate, cookies, or cake. Ours are often packed with lots of healthy ingredients, like zucchini or chia. You can find recipes like this in cookbooks, Google, or even of your own crafting. My mom makes them all the time out of her imagination. It is also always good to have nut-safe snacks in case you get hungry. My siblings and I have taken after my mom, and we never leave home without a snack on us. My brother needs many, as he is always starving. Eating out can be tricky when you want to eat healthy, since someone else is shopping for ingredients and preparing your meal. But there are certain things you can look for when checking out a restaurant to make sure that it's serving real food and that it meets your needs and wants. Ask if the restaurant uses organic ingredients besides their greens and has a commitment to being GMO-free. This will tell you how much they care about the quality of their food and about the health of customers. Ask them if they acquire produce from local farmers, because then the food didn't travel a really long way on trucks, planes, or boats, and it's supporting our own economy. And local stuff just tastes better. Ask if they have vegan and vegetarian options that aren't just salads. Salads are great, as are side dishes of veggies, but a restaurant that has dishes packed with protein from beans, chickpeas, or tempeh, or any other healthy legume, really understands how to feed all kinds of people, following all kinds of diets well. If my family and I are at a restaurant and not confident with the food sourcing, we just eat vegan and gluten-free, so we avoid factory-farmed dairy, meat, and as many industrial products as possible. And maybe something from my mother's purse. As I mentioned, she always has a snack. Make sure they aren't health washing you. If they are promoting that their food is healthy, find out why and verify that it's more than just a marketing claim. I like to ask where they source their dairy or oils from, because the answer, or lack of one, is very telling. Check to make sure that they don't serve pop unless it's made in-house from organic ingredients. Because if there's Coke to go with the clean organic food, it just doesn't make sense. And they do not have a commitment to good food and a better food system. Or, if eating there, do not order a drink and explain why. Speaking up matters. If we all do this, they will make changes. One of my biggest pet peeves at restaurants is when they serve Heinz ketchup with their good food. How does this make sense? Ask for organic ketchup, or even skip that stuff. If they have house-made ketchup, on the other hand, that is a great sign, and it shows you that they really do care about the food that they serve. If needed, ensure that they can accommodate allergies in advance, including nut, gluten, soy, and dairy. Also, chances are that if they can understand your requests, they know what's in their food. Ask the restaurant to take reservations, because it is always good to be guaranteed a table and not have to wait in long lines for hours, especially with little kids. Also, this way you'll have more advance notice of any accommodations that you require, which will make your meal more enjoyable for all. Now, some foods are healthy and some foods are not. There's no reason to eat things that are bad, even if they surround us everywhere. Sure, we all eat things that aren't great, but there are a few foods that I suggest never knowingly eating. Anything genetically modified, because GMOs are seriously harmful to our bodies and the environment. There are so many reasons, and this could be a presentation unto itself. Monsanto tells us we need GMOs to feed the world. If we feed the world with GMOs, the world will get sick. It has been proven that GMOs are seriously harmful to animals, plants, and especially humans. Also, if Monsanto was so confident in their GMOs being amazing, why do they spend billions of dollars every year to stop them from being labeled? Another one I recommend avoiding is McDonald's and other big fast food chains, because of many reasons, but the excessive amounts of salt, sugar, and fat is dangerous and reckless. It can even exceed the limits that you were supposed to have in an entire day in just one item. The next thing to avoid is Monsanto-grown anything. Monsanto is one of the biggest biotech companies in the world, as I mentioned before. They have patents on many seeds, which shouldn't be allowed, because that technically means Monsanto owns a portion of life on Earth. Monsanto uses these patents for terrible things, such as bullying farmers into working for them. It's a huge issue, much bigger than I can discuss here, but please Google Monsanto is evil and read, watch, and share. The last one that I avoid is pesticide-sprayed produce, which often means it's not massive, shiny, and perfect looking. If a fruit looks bumpy or bruised or oddly shaped, that doesn't change the taste. In fact, that often makes it taste way better. Also, if you can't even walk into fields where pesticides have been sprayed and animals can't eat it, how can these crops be safe for us to eat? So, how many of you want to start eating healthier today, by a show of hands? How many of you think you can start eating healthier today? Here are a few ways you can get started. Know where your food comes from and eat local. This is important to do because the food that comes from close to home is fresher, healthier, and tastes better. My parents teach my siblings and I that if we can trace our food back from where it came from and can feel good about it, then it's okay to eat. If we can't even trace it back, then it's probably not food that we want to eat, or maybe not even real food at all. Shop at farmers markets before the supermarket. You can meet the people who grow your food and taste the best of the best. The farmers and chefs that I see every week at the market are some of the nicest people that I've ever met, and great teachers too. Cook your own food and pack your own school lunches. This is important to do because you know what exactly went into your meal, how it was made, who made it, and when it was made. You can have lots of fun in the kitchen even if you aren't yet a good cook, and involve your family and friends. Stay away from fast food and enjoy family meals at home. As I already mentioned, fast food is, for the most part, comprised largely of GMOs and chemicals, plus salt, sugar, and fat. It's not the type of stuff that we should be fueling our bodies with. You can make really fast food at home and enjoy it together as a family. It is such a great family bonding time and a great time to talk about your day or laugh together. Family eating is also a great time for kids like me to try new foods that are prepared and food that we previously didn't enjoy, which is important for healthy eating. Choose organic. This is the one where most people are reluctant, because sometimes you can get a carton of organic strawberries for $7, but the same amount of strawberries, but conventional, for $4. While this may seem like the conventional ones would be a better deal, the organics actually are a much better one. The conventional strawberries are most of the time sprayed with pesticides, which will be seriously harmful to your body in the long run. Organic foods are made without GMOs, harmful pesticides, and other toxic ingredients. They contain lots of healthy nutrients and enzymes, so they can really help your body stay healthy. Try going meatless more. Organic beans and greens are cheaper than chicken, so you can afford organic easier and give your body a break from eating animal products as much as you might. Now, pesticide-sprayed produce may be immaculate looking, but it is not, by any means, healthier. I went to see Jamie Oliver speak once, and he said that he wanted people to start eating the ugly vegetables. He said this because the beautiful-looking vegetables are almost always sprayed with pesticides or other chemicals. These so-called ugly vegetables and fruit are discarded by supermarkets simply because they might have a bruise on them. It's crazy to think how much good fruit and veg is wasted because of this. Learn to cook and get busy in the kitchen. I must admit that I like to eat way more than I like to cook, but I do sometimes participate in the kitchen and have taken to plating meals and garnishing things creatively instead of standing at the stove or chopping veggies. Eat colorful food from nature and try tons of new flavors. It takes 15 tries to like something new, and sometimes after months or years, you might like a food that you didn't before. It's happened to me with tomatoes. There are many different things you can do as a family to promote healthy eating. I'm going to spotlight on 5 of my favorites today, but there are many other things that you can do, so take family outings and find your own. In the fall, what better way to spend your day than with your family apple picking? It's so much fun walking through the rows of trees and harvesting the different types of apples. The only thing to watch out for is pesticide-sprayed apples, because although they may look shiny and yummy, as I said before, they are actually covered in layers of chemicals to make the bugs stay away. The thing with organic apples is although they might not look perfect, they taste a lot better than pesticide-sprayed ones. My family loves Avalon Orchards, just north of Toronto, for delicious apples. Hint, their apple cider is also amazing. Cook a special family meal. Cooking with your family is tons of fun, as I've mentioned multiple times, because everyone gets to help prepare a meal and nobody will then complain about the food. Cooking incorporates everyone's tastes to make an amazing meal that is so much more enjoyable because everyone helped make it. Cooking is also a great time for parents to teach kids how to properly use kitchen utensils and devices. Set the table fancier and arrange what you've made in fun ways. Designs, colors, layers, there's no limit. Visit farmers markets. We have so many markets in Toronto, and many run year-round. My family has gone to the Brickworks Market every Saturday for more than a decade to buy our produce and food for the week. We get to see the nicest people, eat a great breakfast, and stock up on so much goodness. Watch out, because not all vendors at markets are healthy. So it's really important, even at markets, to ask questions so that you know for sure that what you are buying is good food. Grow your own food. This way you know exactly how your food was grown. It doesn't get any fresher than walking outside and harvesting food, preparing it, and enjoying it. Up here you'll see my sister with our homegrown rainbow of tomatoes, my brother eating beans through our trellis, our farmer Chris from Young Urban Farmers, and my brother and dad watering the berries. Once you see how much work it takes to grow your own food, you'll appreciate it so much more and waste a lot less. Take the time to visit the people who grow and make your food. In my experience, the nicest people seem to grow the best tasting fruits and veggies. So, now what? Time to eat healthy and feel good about it. How many of you, by a show of hands, are going to look at labels more closely now? Try to eat more organic food. Try to eat at home more. Awesome. Thank you all so much for coming. I would like to thank a few people before the end of the presentation. Kathy, thank you so much for having me here today. It was so great to meet you years ago at the CHFA show, and it's an honor to be included in your expo. My mom and dad, thank you so much for being my lifelong inspiration to do what I do. You give me so much opportunity, and I love you. Also, thank you, Mom, for the opening and closing slide format. Thank you to all of you as well. I really appreciate you coming today. Now, if anyone has any questions, I would be happy to take them now. And my grandparents for coming. Any questions? Yes?
Why do you do what you do?
Well, the question was, if you didn't hear it, why do you do what you do? Well, I write this blog and I advocate like this because I think, everyone should know about these things. Part of the problem with our food system nowadays is a lot of people don't know about the GMOs that are in our food and, the bee decline that's happening. And so I feel like everyone can do their part to share these things and ask questions and share things that they learn with other people, whether it be on the internet or talking to friends or family. Everything you do makes a difference.